Hello and welcome to the Tips with Toni podcast. I'm Toni Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I'm so excited for you to hear from our very next guest. I have virtually in front of me Liz. She is a functional dietitian and she helps people to lose weight and make sure that it lasts. But first, addressing someone's relationship with food, which is like when I found her page and she reached out to me on the podcast, I didn't even have to think twice. I was like, absolutely, yes. Our messages are so aligned. So I'm so excited for you to hear from Liz. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Toni. I couldn't agree more. Our messages are so aligned.
Yeah. So let's start. The first question I always ask, it's a 3-part question, is I want you to introduce yourself and I want you to share who you are, what you do, and most importantly, why you do what you do.
I love it. So my name is Liz Dejulius, and I am a functional medicine registered dietitian. And I am also the owner of a virtual nutrition coaching business, where I help women and men heal their relationship with food in order to really feel their best, both physically and mentally, which for many of my clients includes achieving their most comfortable body weight. And I do what I do because I absolutely love food, and it's how I got into this. I was little and wanted to be a chef. Actually, for my 10th birthday, I got 10 cookbooks. I'll always remember that. And really loved cooking, grew up in a strong Italian background. So food was really central to my upbringing. Until I realized that being a chef was going to require working all weekends and holidays and nights, and those dreams quickly pivoted. So when I found out that you could actually study nutrition and dietetics, I was instantly hooked on the food aspect of it all. And kind of to fast forward that story, I went through some of my own health challenges where I went through a really stressful time in my life and was diagnosed with PCOS and PMDD, which is like a PMS form of depression. And actually, both of those were misdiagnoses, and something that through functional medicine, I was really able to find the root cause of and heal in a very holistic way, so that I am really feeling my best self now. But the long and short of it was that it came down to my stress levels. It came down to me burning both ends of the candle at once. And so now when I work with my clients, I really put their relationship with food and stress at the forefront of our treatment, because I've learned firsthand that it has so much impact in our health and so much impact in the longevity of our habits and really how we move forward towards our goals. So yeah, it's a quick and dirty version of who I am.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for introducing yourself and for sharing that. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think at the root of many illnesses, and I don't want to be ignorant to say that managing your stress is going to heal all illnesses. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I think when we really get to the root of a lot of chronic diseases and a lot of ailments that people come across, the root to many of it, even mental health, it really comes down to just like, how are you taking care of yourself? Like, are you listening to your body's intuition? Are you nourishing your body mentally or physically? Or are you kind of just like running from A to B and spreading yourself super thin? And, I think once we start to slow down, we start to heal. Exactly. And I don't think that a lot of people realize that, you could have the quote unquote best diet and exercise regimen out there, but if you're stressed about it, it's probably not going to make you feel very good.
And that's exactly what happened to me. I mentioned how food was such a central part of my life growing up. And during that really stressful time of my life, it was when I first started learning about functional medicine. And I kind of thought of it as like, oh, I have to be like paleo and low glycemic, and that Italian pasta that I grew up with, like, no, thank you. It is high glycemic and has gluten in it. And so I took away that food enjoyment, and I took away that really special like relationship with food and memories and emotions that I had, which contributed to my stress on top of the work stress, the social stress, everything else that was just contributing to my overall health.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the questions, I think it might be helpful for the listeners, because I think it's been a minute since I've had a functional RD and or even a functional doctor. Can you just speak to what is functional medicine and how is a functional dietitian different than from a registered dietitian or anybody out there giving nutrition advice? Which I know that was like a 2-part long answer.
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to do that. So just real quick, as a dietitian, I did receive kind of the quote unquote conventional medicine training. So I had a 4-year undergrad degree in nutrition and dietetics, went through a more traditional dietetic internship at the Cleveland Clinic, which had a pretty heavy clinical foundation. So I was mostly in the inpatient setting and working with patients and people who were hospitalized, but also had experience with community, with food service and whatnot. So when I was going through my internship at the Cleveland Clinic, they had just opened up their functional medicine department under Dr. Mark Hyman, who's pretty well known in the functional medicine space. And I was able to do one of my elective rotations there. So that kind of introduced me into functional medicine, and it helps answer the question, because with conventional medicine, we were really thinking of addressing and treating the symptoms that people have. So if they had high cholesterol, it was thinking, okay, the doctors were thinking, what's a cholesterol lowering medication that they can go on? And there were some diet strategies behind it. But with functional medicine, the nutrition is really integrative in the treatment plan equally as things like prescription medications. So if not more sometimes. So lifestyle is a really big part of it, which includes your mental health, your nutrition, the way that you move your body, your stress management. So we're thinking of the body as one interconnected working system. I always think a quick way of defining functional medicine is that we're really addressing the root cause of the symptom or the disease state that someone is presenting with, which goes a lot into the way that I work with my clients on achieving their most ideal weight or a healthy weight loss.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you brought up weight, because I definitely want to transition to that. When you mentioned you support your clients getting to a weight they feel they're best at or their ideal weight, have you ever come up with any resistance of like they are trying to get to a weight that maybe when they were 25, that was an ideal weight, but now they're 55? And like, how do you kind of help them to understand, or maybe not, maybe you help, I'm not sure, but can you just comment on like what I think people's perception of when they're going to feel their best versus actually feeling their best?
Absolutely. It's such an important question. And I use those words really strategically rather than saying reach a healthy weight, because that's really ambiguous. And to be totally honest, I don't really think it's up to me to determine what someone's healthy weight is. It's up to that person. So I use it, their most ideal weight or comfortable weight, which really is a conversation that we go in depth. So we're thinking, what is the meaning behind weight loss? What is the end goal with it? And sometimes, yes, I work with clients who have this expectation of extreme weight loss, when in reality, that's taking them further away from health, because it would either require extreme habits, or it would require undernourishing their body and therefore triggering hormonal imbalances and stress and whatnot. So I always like to ask and work with my clients on answering the questions: why weight loss? What do you expect weight loss is going to give you? If it's thinking that weight loss is going to give you more happiness, or you'll be more accepted, or you won't be as lonely, or you'll find a partner or something like that, that's when we usually go down the conversation path of, that's not going to happen. And I'll usually ask people, when was the last time that you were at the weight that you would like to be at now? And sometimes, it's high school or college, or when I got married or something like that. And I'll ask them, did you feel happy at that point? Did you feel confident? Did you feel accepted? I would say 9 times out of 10, most people are like, no, I didn't feel that way. So it's just good proof that the weight alone, the number on the scale, the size of the clothing isn't an immediate trigger to getting happiness or some sort of positive emotion. If the purpose behind weight loss is to promote longevity, is to feel more energy, to feel physical comfort in your body, then I think it can be done in a really sustainable way, as long as the expectations are kind of in check with long-term, the marathon method.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I think that mindset does definitely plays a key role in developing a healthier relationship with food and sustainable weight loss. So, what kind of mindset do you think people need to shift to so that they can see what we're saying? They're, like I feel like so many people, like if you're listening to this, you're having thoughts, you're like trying to understand, you want to learn more. So, thank you for coming here it's for us to be that resource. So, what type of mindset do people need to make to be able to make that sustainable weight loss change?
Sure. Now, my answer to this, I would say, is a little woo-woo. So I would encourage everybody listening just to like listen to it first and then maybe kind of let it soak in, maybe rewind and listen again, because it really comes down to your identity as a person. So much of nutrition, for whatever reason, people use as a way that they define their identity.
Yeah.
I am vegan, I am paleo, or I am overweight, or I have no control around food.
Mm-hmm.
So we really define ourselves as people based off of what we eat or don't eat or our habits. And that can get really deep too, of like, I am unworthy based off of my physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
So if you resonate with any of that, first of all, you're not alone. That is super, super common. But really, the mindset work comes into changing the identity, especially if you have that history of jumping from diet to diet or yo-yo dieting, because so often identity is formed based off of the diet that you're following or the person or the method. So when you're thinking about changing your environment or your mindset, I would encourage you to think about your mindset around your food habits. So do you partake in Clean Plate Club, or do you skip meals? Just the habits you have around food. Do you have a mindset around instant gratification? So things like cravings and drinking alcohol and going out to eat, does that really have a mindset component built into it? What is your mindset as far as your trust in your body, your ability to accurately listen to the signals that your body is giving you? And then lastly, it's just your mindset around your ability to succeed. So do you actually think you can get to the identity or the goals that you really want? If you don't, again, that's okay and super common, but that's step number one. Because if you don't actually think you are worthy or you are capable of being healthy, of being consistent, of making certain choices, it's probably not going to happen. So we need to figure out a way to make that more believable and more realistic in your life. And that can be translated into more like tactical action steps, but we have to work on the mindset component first.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Now, what if someone has like this positive mindset and they understand and they're kind of ready to take action, but maybe they're struggling with weight loss resistance? Maybe they have a goal of weight gain. What is this when they have a resistance to weight loss or weight gain? It's often a symptom of some sort of imbalance in the body. Can you explain how and why that is?
Sure. And this is really looking at weight loss from a functional medicine lens. So essentially, the body has some sort of imbalance to wanting to hold on to energy. So whether you're gaining weight, your body is trying to hold on to more of that energy, bring it in as stored energy, or if there's weight loss resistance, your body is just like gripping onto it for dear life and saying, I don't want to give up this stored energy. So usually that's telling us, why. First of all, I ask the question, why is the body holding on to the stored energy? What is this telling us? And it's usually some sort of imbalance. So examples of an imbalance could be that you're under eating. Your body wants to hold on to that stored energy because it's not getting enough consistent energy coming in. It could be due to stress levels. So stress increases our energy and our nutrient demands. So if we have elevated cortisol or elevated adrenaline, that could be reasons why your body is really holding on to weight or not wanting to lose. It could be other hormonal imbalances like blood sugar dysregulation and insulin, leptin and ghrelin, which are our hunger and fullness hormones, even sleep hormones like melatonin and cortisol. And then I would say another big root cause of weight loss resistance or weight gain is some sort of gut imbalance. So thinking of things like gut dysbiosis, low stomach acid, low digestive enzyme production. And these are all things that in functional medicine, we can pretty much test for everything that I've talked about, or just working with a coach one-on-one. Something like overeating doesn't necessarily, undereating doesn't necessarily need a test, but working with a professional can really help you with identifying those root causes.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for that. And I feel you've talked about some stuff on your Instagram about some steps people can take to feeling great in their body. And I think you have 4 main steps that you usually recommend. What are those 4 main steps to help people feel better?
Sure. The first step I'm going to preface is the hardest. So the first, yeah, exactly. It's committing to it. It's saying, okay, I want to do this. It's saying, I'm going to work with a dietitian. I'm going to join a supportive community. I'm going to say no to all these other diets or methods that haven't worked for me so far, and say yes to doing things in a different way, to choosing a different method for different results. So step number 1 is just committing, knowing that the people who have best results have 2 feet both in that method. So 1 foot in, 1 foot out just isn't going to work. But then aside from that, I would say the next 3 steps, the first is the mindset, kind of what we've talked about, the identity, identifying limiting beliefs, identifying your purpose for weight loss or whatever your health goals are. And then within mindset, I teach a lot about mindful eating, which is really just bringing awareness to the acts of eating and awareness to those eating habits. And then step number 3 would be making food. We have to eat food in a way that is going to fit our lifestyle, but also supports our body. So making food that supports blood sugar regulation, that supports hormonal balance, and also that supports satiety, which more or less just means, are you liking the food that you're eating? Are you enjoying? Because that's huge, which seems obvious, but isn't always included in a nutrition plan.
No, it's rarely included. It's more so just like, oh, I want the results. So I don't care if I think a lot of people, like, even like I've, on TikTok, there's like so much stuff. I just watched a TikTok recently, and someone's was like talking about how, she's tired of the diet, and like she's showing her meals. It's like literally like grilled chicken and broccoli, like, and rice. Like, that's it. That's all she's eating all the time. Like, that's a being on a diet, but that's not a healthy lifestyle. Like, exactly. Satisfaction and flavor are rarely included when I think and I think that's why people are so resistant to reach out and to get help, because I think their perception of like, me getting healthy means I'm going to miss out and not be able to enjoy all the foods that I normally like to enjoy. Giving up, like you said, you're Italian, I'm Italian too. Like, kind of think like you have to give up your cultural roots, and you're not going to be able to eat food with your family. And like, yeah, if you do a diet, that's true. But if you work with a registered dietitian, they're going to help you figure out how to fit those in and reach your health goals and feel good all at once.
Exactly. And I would say, if you're listening to this and you really struggle with cravings, or you really struggle with control or perceived control around food, start eating food that you enjoy more. Or even just flavors. So if you like spicy, or if you like, I have clients who really like vinegar and fermented kind of foods, or if you like sweet things, eat more sweets, whatever that means for you. But you will start to see those cravings change and that control around food really change when you actually give yourself what you want and what you really enjoy. And that can seem really scary within itself, because it feels like, well, then I'll go to the other side of the spectrum and I won't be able to stop. But when you work with someone on really figuring out that balance and giving yourself full permission to eat foods that you enjoy, it's the sweet spot of sustainability for sure. And that's basically the 4th step. Going back to that last question, is just all about maintenance. So it's really thinking about sustainability of habits, consistency, accountability, things that really get in the way from long-term results. And I would say also incorporated in my like maintenance step is overcoming really like common and potential future obstacles. So going out to eat, traveling, going on vacation, drinking alcohol, eating desserts, like all these things that are like, I'm good when I'm at home and I'm isolated and I cook my meals, but what about everything else? And that's key to figure out.
Yeah, because otherwise it's not a lifestyle change.
Oh,
Then it's
no.
just any other diet. Yeah.
Exactly. You're like a science experiment in your own little home lab.
Yeah. That's no, not going to work. Anything you do temporarily only produces temporary results. I've said that a bazillion times and I'll say it over and over again. The diet is not meant for you to just sit on the couch and, eat out a Tupperware container. That is not going to work for you in the long run.
Exactly.
So the other thing I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about is that you market yourself as a weight loss dietitian, and but you also, it seems like you put in some, as a functional medicine dietitian, you also believe in like compassion and listening to your body and your hunger and mindful eating. And so we don't want to call it 100% intuitive eating, but you use intuitive eating principles and practices. And so there are controversies when it comes to intentional weight loss.
Totally.
And I see why, because we do live in a fat phobic culture. Weight and number on the scale isn't everything. Like, at the same time, we don't want to discount someone's goals, and there's so much more. There's a lot to unpack. We don't have that much time, but sorry, I almost went on a tangent. All that to say, there's some controversy around it. Like I said, I think you do a great job in the way that you market yourself and, talk about it. But can you help people understand maybe a more health focused method and way to go about weight loss so we can support someone if that is a goal of theirs without kind of judging them during in today's society?
Yeah, the word that you used is perfect, which is compassion. It really is approaching all of your habits. It's approaching the thoughts that you have, the feelings and emotions with compassion. At the end of the day, we are all human, and it's within human nature to want to eat really delicious foods, to want to enjoy your life by socializing and probably incorporating food and drink. And so I think really treating the body with compassion and treating your mind with compassion is going to yield the most loving results. And you're right, weight loss is super controversial. And I think there are traditional controversies, like most people, I think, but maybe it's just because it's my world that I live in. But I think most people really understand that there are controversies around quick weight loss or extreme weight loss, or white knuckling it through a diet probably isn't going to work. Although it's great marketing, it can feel tempting. I think deep down, a lot of people understand that that's not going to necessarily work. But I think where a lot of the controversy comes down to is, like, is it even okay to want to pursue weight loss? Is that like an acceptable goal, or am I a bad person for wanting to lose weight? And unfortunately, when I started learning more about like this compassionate method of working with clients, or like intuitive eating, intuitive eating is against intentional weight loss. And that was something where I like loved 90% of it. And that was the one part where I was like, but then what about all the people who want to lose weight? Like, do we just discredit that as a goal, or do we try to change their perception of it? And my approach is that if that's someone's goal, I will honor that. And I will work with them to do it in a really sustainable, health promoting way, where we're thinking about exactly that, promoting health, which means increasing energy, which means supporting your nourishment, making sure that your gut, your heart, your brain, all of these bodily functions are really working to their most optimal function. It's almost like, and I hesitate saying this because I know it's not the sexy answer, but I want to just be very like real and transparent. It's almost like a weight loss last approach. Weight loss is the result. Weight loss is the side effect of being really healthy, of supporting your health, both physically and mentally. And that's really that little like niche. That's my like corner of the internet that I like to work in, that you're in a safe space if you have the goal of wanting to lose weight. And I'm trying to think of a percentage, maybe 50, 60% of the time when I work with clients, maybe even 70, I don't know. I'm making up numbers at this point, but whatever it is, a lot of my clients come to me wanting weight loss. Yeah. And when they leave 6 months later, 8 months, 9 months later, it's not really their top priority anymore. Or they lost maybe 2, 3, 5 pounds. And that was much less. That was a lot less weight than they intended to lose, but they're okay with it because they gained energy. They gained confidence. They gained knowledge of how to properly fuel their body so that they don't have to take naps, or so that they can sleep well, or whatever it may be. And I really think that, had I, turned those clients away because, oh, well, your goal was weight loss, I won't work with you, or maybe tried to change that, to me, it just, it feels like I want to be supportive in that space for people who do have that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's okay for that to be the goal. I think the thing that I wish intuitive eating would address a little bit more and like explain a little bit better is that it's why do you want to lose the weight? I think if you go
Yes.
back to the why, and if it's driven by, well, that's all you've ever known, and you've been told that you need to look a certain way to feel accepted and worthy of love. And, if that's your why, then yeah, you need a therapist, not a dietitian.
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, although we will help you understand and realize that, like, there's so much more to it, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to lose weight. It's just, why do you want to lose weight?
Exactly.
Right? Are you fighting with the last 5 pounds for the last 20 years? It's like, you might be better at accepting your body at where it's at right now. Like there's so much more to unpack there. So yeah,
Totally.
I'm with you right there. I'm on your team with that one.
And sometimes too, it's not even the purpose of weight loss isn't even because they want to. It's like, well, my doctor told me that I should, or my BMI is in an unhealthy range. And so it's always nice to educate people and say, okay, I hear you, but let's take a look at everything else in your health. What is your cholesterol look like? Your blood sugar look like? Your thyroid look like?
The inside of you.
Yeah. And we know, at this point that BMI is pretty outdated, especially when we're comparing genders and whatnot, and ages and all that. But yeah, it's exactly to your point. It's just figuring out, well, why? Where is this coming from? This goal?
Absolutely. This has been such a great episode. Thank you so much for being here. Is there anything that you want to throw in, add, talk about that we didn't get around to talking about today?
Yeah, I would say if this resonated with you at all listening, I'm pretty active over on Instagram. We were talking before we hit record when this episode is being released, and when we're recording, it's the end of August, and I am getting married in a couple of months, so I'm not super active, or a couple of weeks. Gosh, weeks, Liz.
When's your wedding date?
September 5th. Labor Day weekend. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a great time to get married.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. So the weather's going to be perfect.
Thank you. Fingers crossed. But I'm practicing what I preach. So I'm taking some time off Instagram just to be really present with everything going on in my personal life. Point being, I'm usually really active on Instagram. So if you're interested in this, check out my Instagram. My handle is @functionallyliz, and I will have an exciting announcement coming soon. The first time I'm announcing this live, but I'm releasing a food relationship membership. So I've been teaching group courses, and they're really successful. And I just want this to be more accessible for more people, and build in accountability and consistency through a monthly membership. So be on the lookout for that announcement sometime in October of this year.
Yay, exciting. Very excited. So guys, check out the show notes. I'll put links, Instagram handle there, and then make sure you give her a follow so you could be on the lookout for when that membership opens up. If you are new to the podcast, thanks for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified when a new episode comes out every Tuesday and Thursday now. And if you like this episode, take a screenshot of it, tag me, tag Liz, let us know what you took away. Send her a message, send me a message. We love to hear from you. I really appreciate you being here, Liz. Thanks so much for being here. As always, this is Toni Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.